Today on MTG Unpacked, we're cracking open the new Arcane Tempo Challenger deck. So this one is the blue and red. It's a Izzet Drake build, and this is supposed to be competitive at your Friday Night Magic in the standard format. So let's take a look here. Use cheap instants and sorceries to disrupt your opponent and build card advantage without overcommitting to the board. Then unleash a game-winning storm of spells. Okay, so we get battle ready 60 card deck, 15 card sideboard, deck box, and spin down life counter. Alright, so let's crack this open and take a look. And actually this one, they retail for $30, but this contains a lot more value than that at the time of filming. I think it's like maybe $60 or $70 worth. So we will find out during editing what the current prices are. Alright, so we get a cool spin down here, and let's take a look. Okay, so nicely organized. Get a divider there so you can separate out your sideboard. So if you're not familiar, the sideboard is something you, like 15 cards extra that you have aside there in case you want to swap some cards out from the main deck between games. Okay, so there we are, 60 card deck, 15 card sideboard. Go to your local game store and play F&M. It's fantastic fun, so check that out. I'm very fond of F&M at my local game store. So let's have a look here and see what we get. And what I like to do with these is separate out the mana base here, so we get a look at that. Not terribly interesting, but it's very important in Magic to know what your lands are like. So here we have, let's move these guys out of the way. They're representing the colors, but they sometimes screw up the focus. Yes, like that. All right. So we have Izzet Guildgate. So this enters battlefield tapped. You can tap it for blue or red. All right. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, okay. And then islands, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm guessing a similar number of mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So let's move on to the deck proper and take a look at this and see if there's any room for improvement. And I think we're continuing to get focus problems here. Arclight Phoenix. Creature Phoenix 3/2 for 4 mana with flying and haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast 3 or more instant and sorcery spells this turn, return Arclight Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is one of the more pricey cards in the set. This is from Guilds of Ravnica, as you can see there. So this is one of the cards that won't rotate out. So the standard format is a rotating format. So once every year or so, all the older cards rotate out. They're no longer legal. And so you need to swap in a whole bunch of new stuff. So it's a very dynamic format. But this one will stick around. There's a rotation due in like another 6 months. So we'll see which cards will stick around and which won't. Next we have Niv-Mizzet Paron, legendary creature, dragon wizard, 5/5 for 6 mana. And that's going to be tough to cast him with the colors there. So hopefully you have a nice mix of mana when you're playing. This spell can't be countered. He has flying. Whenever you draw a card, he deals 1 damage to any target. And whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. So here's a very nice card draw engine. We get 2 of those. Okay. Next up, this is another nice addition here, Sulphur Falls from Dominaria. This will be one of the cards that's rotating out in another 6 months, so be sure to play as much Friday Night Magic as you can with this deck. Sulphur Falls enters battlefield tapped. Unless you control an island or a mountain, you can tap it for islands or mountain, or I should say blue or red. Okay, so we get 2, 3. Okay, that's pretty decent. 3 of those. Okay, the Mirari Conjecture. So this is one of these saga cards, if you're not familiar with those, also from Dominaria, also rotating out. As this saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter sacrifice after 3. For 1, return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand, and the second step is return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And in the third stage here, third turn, until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, just one of those. And here is one of the main dudes in the deck. So we had the Phoenix, now we've got the Crackling Drake. Creature Drake, star 4, so his power is star. For 4 mana, we'll see what that's about. With flying, his power is equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. When Crackling Drake enters the battlefield, draw a card. This one's similar. I think some of the more expensive builds of this use the Enigma Drake as well. So you have play sets of each of those Drakes. Or you can go with, looks like we only had one Arclight Phoenix, so you would get more of those. But obviously increase the cost of the deck if they did that. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, a complete playset. Okay, that's pretty good. Next up, if you've been following the channel for any length of time, you'll know why I was chuckling, because we have a Goblin Electromancer, creature Goblin Wizard 2/2 for 2 mana. Yes, I love the goblins here on MTG Unpacked. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Fantastic. Okay, so are we going to get 4 of these? Yes, we are. Fantastic. Thank you, wizards. Next we have Murmuring Mystic. So that's a 1/5 for 4 mana. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 Bluebird Illusion creature token with flying. 2 of those. Opt. So this one is an instant for 1. You can scry 1, draw a card. It's from Dominaria. I think they might have reprinted that, or they will be. So that one would normally rotate out, might be coming back. Leave a note in the comments if I am mistaken. So we get a complete play set of those. Radical Idea, instant for 2. So draw a card, jumpstart, so you can cast it from your graveyard as long as you discard a card when you pay the cost. So we get 2, 3, and 4. All right. And here's an old favorite, Shock, instant for 1. It deals 2 damage to any target. Nice for removal or just shocking your opponent. So we get 4 of those. Charter Course, here's another good one. Sorcery for 2. Draw 2 cards and discard a card unless you attacked with a creature this turn. Okay, so some more card draw. And the goal of the deck, you're really digging through to find stuff that you can use to cast and take on your opponent here. So we've got 4 of those. Dive Down, an instant for a single blue. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. So if you're not familiar with hexproof, it can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So we get just 2 of those. All right. And incidentally, that one is from Ixalan, so that's another one that will be rotating out. Blink of an Eye, instant for 2, has kicker 1 and a blue, so you can pay that additional as you cast it. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If the spell was kicked, draw a card. And here's another good one, Lava Coil, sorcery for 2. It deals 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So usually you're going to have some beefier creatures on the board, and 4 damage will take care of a lot of those, except if you're up against a Carnage Tyrant or something like that, that could be tough. And I think, yeah, is this the final one here? Beacon Bolt, a sorcery for 3. It deals damage to target creature equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard, and it has Jumpstart, so you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile this card. Okay, so that is the deck proper. Then we will take a look at the sideboard. So what I'm seeing here, this actually looks like a pretty strong deck. I have not played this particular one. I meant to test them out on Arena but ran out of time. But I would probably add in either, you want to add some Arclight Phoenixes or some more Drakes, probably the Enigma Drake, and just swap out some of the other cards. So I think that would make it much stronger. Next we have Entrancing Melodies. Sorcery 4X and 2 blue. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. So this is the sideboard. So remember, you'll play your game 1 with your main deck. And depending on what your opponent had, you might want to swap in some of these other cards and swap out things that weren't working well for you. So you get, let's see, 3 of those. Okay, we get another copy of the Mirari Conjecture. So that is basically getting stuff back from the graveyard, instant sorceries, and copying spells. Fiery Cannonade, instant for 3, it deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. This is another one from Ixalan that's going to rotate out later this year. So we get 2, 3 Fiery Cannonades. Shivan Fire from Dominaria, instant for a single red, has kicker 4. It deals 2 damage to target creature. If the spell was kicked, it deals 4 damage to that creature instead. So that would be handy if you're up against probably some huge green creatures. You'd have to get them a couple of times there with the kicker. Disdainful Stroke, instant for 2. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 4 or greater. So moving to more of a control deck if you add this in. Negate, counter target non-creature spell, instant for 2. So some more control stuff here. So you want to maybe move towards more control or more aggro depending on what you're up against. So we have some nice options here. Beacon Bolt, so we saw that earlier. And yeah, dealing a huge amount of damage based on the total number of instant and sorcery cards. We've got a lot of those here, so that would work out pretty well. So you might need to put another one of those in. Alright, so this deck actually looks pretty good. Good value. Seems like it would be fairly competitive at F&M. My local game store was selling this one for more than MSRP, so they were selling it for about 40, and that's US dollars, and the rest of the decks they were selling for 30 each. I picked up all 4 for 100, so naturally I'm going to review all of these for the channel, so I picked them up all at once. And let me know in the comments what you think of this deck. Are you planning to pick up this one or any of the others? And stay tuned, we'll be reviewing the other 3 decks, the other challenger decks that have just come out. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button for more Magic the Gathering unboxings, and be sure to tap the notification bell to be notified as soon as new videos are released. And if you would like to check out the challenger decks from last year, they're no longer standard legal, but I'll pop a link up in the corner to that playlist. Thanks for watching and have a great day.